What does it take to leave your country for good if you can't stand what your country is doing to other countries or to itself when you don't feel safe in your country anymore? In the previous stream, I said it is bravery, and you have to have guts to make that decision to leave your country permanently, sometimes on short notice. And I still stand by my point. It does take bravery. Bravery is a must. If you aren't brave, most likely, very probably, you'd never leave your country. You can be smart, you can be good-hearted, you can understand everything that is going on in here, but if you don't have the guts, you'd stay home. And don't get me wrong, bravery is not the only thing that you must have. Many brave men are still sitting in Russia, not even making attempts to leave. They don't understand why would they. Or some even joined Russian army and went fighting in Ukraine. Brave, but incredibly stupid and heartless and lack of empathy, okay? Not only bravery. I think you get my point. Howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin, and welcome to Inside Russia, where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. That is me. I usually share a message every single day. Different message, the message I feel important, the message I explain what really happens in Russia. Every single day except for Saturdays, when there are personal streams for patrons and sponsors only. That's my way of saying big thank you for the people who support me through sponsorship of YouTube or Patreon. Every other day there are streams with messages, but today there isn't a usual stream. Today there's no message. Today is an unusual stream. Today is a free talk, so to speak. You see, I released a video called How I Left Russia. Old news, really. I mean, I left Russia 8 months ago, last September. Most of you know that. While leaving, let me tell you, I left on 36-hour notice. 36 craziest, busiest, most painful hours of my life. So while I was leaving, I tried to document, and I filmed quite a lot. 2 days after arriving to Uzbekistan, I was done editing I Left Russia video, the one I had filmed in those crazy 36 hours. Let's say about 80% of it were done. Breaking news, I was fresh off the boat in Uzbekistan, but I did not release the video. It was so personal and so private. My heart was still bleeding, so I just could not release it. And, 8 months passed. Things have changed. Yeah, they certainly have. To make a long story short, I have decided it is time to finish up and release that video. While I was applying finishing touches, adding some text, adding some music, cutting some things off, I decided that the video that was released were to be released on YouTube is too shallow. It fails to show you the magnitude of the disaster that was happening to me and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people around me. What you saw on this screen, then I assume most of you have watched the video, How I Left Russia, the story of one escape. You know, what you saw on the screen is just 10% of what was happening in real life. There were so many things happening behind the scenes, too personal to show, too private to show, but without them, you just don't get the full picture. So today, there's no message, just stories. Behind the scenes stories of this last video. Once I released the video, I became so emotional because I relived the experience again. I recalled every single moment. Not that just recalled, I saw it on screen. And, you know, when I look at the screen, I remember it in my memory. Just I'm brought back into that action again in my head. So let me tell you what was happening in those days of... what word would I describe it with? Chaos, tragedy, disaster, you know... Those were the days of bad thunder. You see, I knew long before Putin announced mobilization on the 21st of September, because it was really easy. If you could analyze things, you could see that it was coming. It's just one thing I didn't know, how many they're going to mobilize and when is the date? So 21st came kind of unexpected, but in general it was expected because Russians were withdrawing from Ukraine and the Ukrainian army was pushing. Okay, so they had to change something. So 21st comes, Putin gets out in front of the nation, says, oh, mobilization. 6 months prior, he said there'd be no mobilization under any circumstances. And then 6 months later, mobilization. Another lie. I understood, as he was speaking, I understood that was it. I had to get out. I understood that I had waited for long enough to keep on waiting, So I decided to get the heck out of Russia. When I made the decision, and I've said a couple times how I made decision here and there in the streams, but if you missed it, this, very interesting story. I was sitting there debating on when to leave, and I kept on pushing myself a little further and further and further and saying a couple more days, But around the 24th, the reports started coming in from all over all the corners of Russia that mobilization office people, they're ruthless. They're just weeding everyone out, getting them mobilized, so to speak. And they were just ruthless. The stories were coming in. They got older people. They got one guy, I think, without kidney. They didn't care who. They just needed bodies. They were given order and they were just fulfilling the order. So I was sitting there and I was undecided. I understood this is it. This is the moment of truth. I have to get out. But I didn't know when. And Natasha was pushing me. She's a very smart, wise lady. She was pushing me hard and she was the annoying driver. We never get into fights, but things got pretty heated and she was saying, we were sitting in the kitchen, I think it was Saturday, and Saturday or Sunday, it was weekend. And she was telling me, she said, you gotta get out, listen to me, you always analyze and judge situations right, but this time you're just being blind. Just get the hell out. And I'm sitting there and we're not fighting. We're just discussing, And all of a sudden, my telephone beeps. I have an email and the sender, Rafaela From, subscriber from Germany, very nice lady, very religious. She prayed for me. She wrote me a song and sang it. Fantastic. She sent me prayers. Then we lost touch around May, I believe, May or so, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, there's an email from her, and the email says, Konstantin, I figured I'd drop you a line. Here's a verse for you. And I read the verse from the Bible, and that is exactly the answer, the answer to my question: when to get out. Basically, I look at it and I has a disbelief, and I'm going with this. Is this, if this isn't the sign from God, then what is? If this isn't a miracle, then tell me what is the miracle. So I look at Natasha, shocked, and I show her email and I read her, and she's also shocked. And this is when a bolt of lightning struck me, and boom, the decision was made. I said, Natasha, I'm getting out as soon as possible. So I started looking for tickets, and of course, sold out. Everything is sold out. 25th. I was looking on the 25th. And then my friend, Eugene, he called me from the airport. I didn't know how he was leaving, but he called me, and he was afraid of speaking freely. And he said, look, I'm getting out. Are you? I said, well, I'm looking at the tickets right now. He says, there's an additional flight to Samarkand, Uzbekistan. Check it out. And I go, and he gave me an idea. I go and start checking out that flight that they added because of such a great demand. Booked, sold out. But that gave me an idea. I said, how many people know that there are flights from Moscow to Samarkand? Not too many. And I started going to the airports, and I had looked for tickets everywhere. From, Iran to Venezuela, all booked. It was one of those things, you folks, you gotta understand. You cannot get it in the My Movie anywhere. There was no way to get out of Russia in those days. Plane tickets all sold out. The other way would be to somehow get close to the border and try to cross the border. But the lines were 50, 60 miles. People waited weeks to get out of Russia. The most infamous place was Verkhnyi Lars. That's the border crossing point between Russia and Georgia. Very convenient to get there. I did it myself for traveling, for leisure, as a tourist, long time ago. But the wait was incredible. So a lot of people were driving down to borders and, taking flights. And the flights were booked. So I had this crazy idea. I figured, wait a second, perhaps there are some flights. People don't know that there are flights. And I looked at the airports where they have flights to. And I was sitting there with my pen and writing down. And there were tons of places I just discovered for myself. Villages in Uzbekistan, I should say small towns, not villages, in Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan. There are so many because a lot of migrant workers fly back and forth, and they don't have to go to capital. There's a flight for them because there's a steady supply of migrants going back and forth, right? So I found, believe it or not, a ticket for Khujand. Khujand is a small town in near border of Uzbekistan. And at that point, I didn't care where. I knew that from Khujand, somehow I could get anywhere in the world. So the big thing was the price, $5,200. Well, I didn't even think of the price. I just looked at my credit card. I had one credit limit that big, $5,200, and I just booked it, and that's it. 36 hours. Time started ticking. Anyway, I would like to thank again Rafaela From and God. They both worked as a team on that day. Thank you. Everyone was trying to get out. Everyone. Neighbors. There was chaos in Russia those days. I remember I got down in an elevator in my tower in Moscow, and there was a neighbor family. Folks not that old, perhaps in late 40s, 50s, and their son was 23, 25, like adult, but young adult. And I remember they were looking very, like, suspiciously at me because the guy had a backpack and a luggage. And I look at them, and I remember we were exchanging. I said, "Are you leaving Russia?" And they looked at me like in panic, like, "Why is he asking us?" I said, "Well, no, he's going away to see his grandma." I'm like, "Well, folks, I'm leaving in a couple of days myself." And they're like, yes, he's getting out because the army is looking for him. And that happened everywhere. I remember, I saw a few neighbors of mine who left that way. I asked at the doorman at the tower, and then said there were tons of people out, tons of taxi cabs coming in. So, it was crazy. Thing is, I just don't know how to. I don't have that footage. You can't watch video, and you cannot understand from video what was going on in the country, my friends. No video can tell you that. That's why I'm trying to explain. Well, booked the tickets, made the decision, and first thing happened. I figured I have about 36 hours, and adrenaline started rushing. Oof, I remember, heart was beating, and I was all, I gotta do so many things. I grabbed a pen, I started writing things down. And then I just jumped and started so many things to do. The biggest problem is you don't know where to start. Because you're in panic. Your brain gives up. It doesn't understand what to do because you're about to cancel your entire life. Like you're about to move to another place and you're not going to come back here. You have life, you have roots, you have I don't know, property, bank accounts, business, job, So we scheduled. I remember I was leaving on Monday. Well, Tuesday late night, early morning, one in the morning. But Monday I had some time for myself too. So first thing in the morning I did was I took Natasha, I gave her power of attorneys for everything, so she could sell things. She could do whatever she wanted to, sign for me, And I was thinking there, and I was just thankful because when you grab your wife and you have to leave, and when you grab your wife and you just give her power of attorney for basically over your life, my friends, that's worth a lot. If you have a person who you trust completely, absolutely, and I didn't think that she could take my stuff and stay in Russia, Like my car, our apartment could sell, and that's it. She could divorce me, for goodness sake, for like just to go to court because she had power of attorney on me. But I didn't think twice. It's not even a question in my mind. That's a person who I trust absolutely. And I was just sitting there and thinking, wow, I'm so lucky. I am so lucky that I have a wife like that. And that was perhaps the first revelation. I had many revelations after, but the first one was how lucky I was to have a family like that. I had a day, so bought tickets, finished up all my internet work, and then went to sleep, slept for a few hours, 3 or 4 hours, and got up really early in the morning because I had one full day to finish everything up. So I started that day by taking tires, winter tires, and switching, putting them on. I took them to a service because first thing I thought was, I take care of the cars. In the family, I take care of all like living things, renovations, apartment, cars, things like that. So my first thought was how that's gonna snow soon in Moscow. Who's gonna change the tires? So I got up really early, around 5 o'clock, and I grabbed the tires and I went and services in Russia are 24/7. So I gave them the car and I gave them the tires, and while they were changing, I started filming. So that's the beginning of the video. You see, that's in the yard where the service for changing tires is. That was so tough because reality started catching up with me. Still, adrenaline was pumping and everything, but reality hits you hard. And you start asking yourself questions and you're terrified because you don't know how to answer them. Anyway, I got done with the tires and I took Michael to kindergarten, and it was a torture because I knew that I wouldn't see him for a long time after that. Went on to do many things, bought contact lenses, things basically a ton. I bought tons of stuff. I was running around, bought things that I thought I would have hard time buying in Uzbekistan or any other country. I called my friend, told him I was coming. I'm lucky enough, it was my second revelation. I'm lucky enough to have friends who I don't have to ask to stay with. I just have to tell them, hey, I'm coming on this day. And usually my friend in Uzbekistan, he just wakes up and he goes, okay, when are you coming? I tell him. He goes, what would you like to eat, chicken or beef? And that's his biggest question always, And I tell him, whatever. So lucky. Did tons of stuff, did my haircut, running around, I filmed every step pretty much. And got home, started packing. Hadn't eaten anything for 24 hours. Natasha made borscht. I ate borscht real quick because, she she forced me to eat. She said, you need some energy. I didn't care at the time, so I ate, and I had this crazy idea. This is the last time I'm eating Natasha's borscht in Russia, and then I filmed it. But then later I edited it out because just too personal, too emotional, Getting stuff together was real hard because, again, you're running around and you have one suitcase and one backpack, and that's it. I filled backpack with gadgets, with camera, microphones, soundboard, and I had not a huge suitcase for basically just doesn't matter what you take. It's so little that, might as well take anything out of clothing, So, by the way, as I was doing that, I notified very few people. My wife and kids knew, except for Michael. He didn't know. When I was taking him out of kindergarten, he still didn't know. My mom knew. I told my mom, and that's pretty much it, except for the moderators of Inside Russia, Lorna and Mommy. And there was another moderator, Robert, he also knew. And I was every 10 minutes they would message me, and they were very concerned, obviously. Thing was scary, okay? I was running away. There was a feeling they're coming for me, and I have to be on time to get out on time, And they kept on messaging me, and I told them what I did, and I notified them every step, and so we stayed in complete communication. So you understand how close I am with the moderators of Inside Russia. So when I was packing, and after I was done packing, and I went to see Michael, and take him from the kindergarten, bring him to another kindergarten academy, the academy. This thought started vibrating in my mind, for the last time, It's it's not. You see, it's one thing if you leave your country, if you leave your home for another home, better one, for another job, better paying job, better job, but that gives you more opportunity. For another country that is better place than your country. That's one thing. That's kind of pleasant adrenaline, so to speak. But when you know that you have to outrun KGB, who's coming for you, that is a completely different story. So, for the last time, the hardest time was when I picked up Michael and we walked to another kindergarten when he studied English, math, and preschool type of place, preschool school. And it's usually a very nice, pleasant walk, about 10 minutes. I pick him up. We're not in a hurry because we're never late. I always pick him not on time, but before a few minutes. And we just, chit chat, and he tells me how his day was. This time was completely different. He didn't know, but he felt something was in the air. I told him, and I filmed. Told him I was going away on a business trip. I said, okay. He didn't understand the seriousness of the situation, and I was okay. I didn't want him to understand, so he wouldn't start getting very upset and anxious and things like that. So, but I actually, believe it or not, I broke down once I got out of I left him at his preschool, and I got out, and that's not too far from home, and I was walking, and I filmed a little bit myself, and then I couldn't feel anymore because it was too emotional. I'm still emotional now from that. I'm reliving this experience. Came back and the girls were home. We sat down at the table. We told them, and they totally were behind me, not against. Behind me, they said, "Whatever you do, we will help you out. We will support." And that was another revelation. That was one of those moments when time was ticking, and I kept on saying, why does time fly so fast? Please slow down, slow down. I want to be here with the family for a little longer. And, well, of course, it's kind of, I was thinking that way, not saying. That was crazy. Anyway, I packed all the stuff. I brought my friend a present, a bottle of vodka, and I filmed a big chunk, a couple minutes about that. You see, every single gram, every ounce counted. And imagine you have to take everything with you, as much as you can. So, of course, every ounce counts. But I brought him a bottle of vodka, which is about a kilo, 2 pounds, because that was a sign of my appreciation. He knew how precious every single gram of weight was for me. He knew how incredibly important this whole experience was. But I showed him my appreciation. I sacrificed a kilo of my stuff to get him vodka. He can get vodka here in Uzbekistan, but this is what we do in Russia and the post-USSR. This is not just a vodka. This is a sign of appreciation. Here. Thank you so much, friend. And then he takes it and he thinks, I know how much you sacrificed for that, So that was pretty emotional. I had it in the video, but then I had to cut it off, edit it out, because too personal, Right before taking off, I went out and withdrew $7,690 pretty much all I had available at the time. That was it. Well, of course, I left some for the family. Time ran out. We packed everything. I brought it down and loaded into the car. And we just sat together as a family, and the girls cried, and it was very tough. Natasha, I drove the car to the airport for the last time. That was the last time I drove. I haven't driven since September 26. Last time. That's gloomy trip. We talked with Natasha about something, but I don't remember about what. She doesn't remember either. We were just enjoying each other's company. Got to the airport. There weren't many traffic jams, just the usual Moscow. We got to the airport, and the reports had been that there are so many people in traffic, and and so forth. And oops, folks, I apologize. There is someone's ringing bell at my door. Hang on, I'll be right back. I'm back, not a big deal. Nothing's important. Happened third time in all my streams, twice before. Neighbors came at this after midnight hour. Nah, not a big deal. Someone next door is being loud, that's not me. Anyway, we got into the airport. See, the reports had been that in a few previous days, there were huge crowds, huge queues to get to passport control, to get through security, and people had to wait for 4 hours to get into the airports. So we arrived quite early, 4 or 5 hours before the flight. I wish I could use that time with the kids, but we had to get to the airport early. And I remember Lorna and Mommy, they were really seriously warning me, you'd better get to the airport, not to miss your flight. You'd better get to the airport. So I got to the airport early, but ended up staying around 2 hours in the line to get to check into the flight. Okay, that you see it in the video. There were mostly men, and the situation in the airport was everyone was quiet, but you could feel that something was up in the air. Oh my gosh, it was everyone had weight on their shoulders. And they were not horror stories, but I saw one guy was walking and telling his buddies that he was not let out of the country. And that's scary. When it happens right next to you, that's very scary. You keep on guessing. Will they get me? Will they let me out? And not good at all. saw tons of men with questions in their eyes, with fear in their eyes, because most people, they didn't know where they were going. We were getting out of Russia. Like I was flying to Hujan. Guess what? 100 people on my plane. There were like a couple locals, and then most of us were the ones who were running away. Well, people, saying, hey, don't say run away because you escaped. Okay. Escaping. The ones, us who were escaping, we were, none of us came to Hujan. None of us. All took cabs just like I did. The cabs took us to the border with Uzbekistan, not too far, about 45 minutes. And then we walked over the border. I walked along all with people who were in my plane. And then we took cabs to Tashkent. Okay, that's... So we were getting out by flying to anywhere we could get tickets to. So that airport was kind of quiet, but boy, I still remember that atmosphere, that air at the airport. I haven't seen anything like that before. Filmed, but the film, again, the video does not show you 3D picture, doesn't give you emotions, doesn't show you emotions, the kind of emotions people were going through at the airport, you see. At the airport, actually, I saw a scene, again, it's not in the video, and I did not film it because it's too personal, not just me, but all people. Imagine hundreds of cars, more than usual traffic. They get into the airport, it's busy. It's like New Year holiday. Everyone is flying out for a holiday, although it's just not for the holiday that we're flying, It was a little different. So everyone gets out. Men get out one luggage, one backpack, because it's norm, what you can do on the airline. And their women, wives, girlfriends, were just hugging them and crying. I still remember that picture in front of me. Everyone was crying. Men were crying. The women were some were hysterical. They would and then men would hug, kiss their wives, would just walk into the airport. Same way I did, and I filmed it. I saw Natasha off, and she was crying as well. And I did not film that. Well, I filmed it for myself. There was a camera mounted on the car, and, there's footage, but there's no way this is too personal. So I took the luggage, I said goodbye to my wife, and I stepped into the airport. Like I said, crowds, check into the flight. No one cared what seat usually I ask, like, oh, is it a window seat, aisle seat, or... Not this time. No one cared. Just getting a seat on the plane was enough, So, and then it was the scariest moment of the day. Most hurtful was when I was seeing Michael off and Natasha off and the girls off. But the scariest was definitely the border control. They were lions. Lions in the border control. I stood in line for quite some time, for about 20 minutes. And 5 young Russian men were turned down right at the border control. They were not allowed to leave the country. I remember the first guy, he turned around and he went back to uncheck himself from there's a procedure at the airport when they don't let you out of the country. You go and cancel your seat. And he was walking, and imagine there's a line of us standing, and he turns around and he goes back, and when he neared me, he looked at me. He looked at us standing in line. I remember I caught his sight. I caught his eyes. He looked at me, and I remember despair in his eyes. Despair, like I don't know how to tell you, folks. Despair. You know, I felt very sorry for the guy, and at the same time, I felt scarier. Okay, 5 people, him and 4 more. I don't know why. Most likely because they had been served summons, and somehow border control people knew about that. But that's what happened. I was freaking out when I was nearing the border control officer, and all of a sudden something happened to me. I think God touched me. Non-believers, I mean, I'm not trying to offend you or anything, but I believe in God, and I believe that miracles happen to me every single day. And that was a miracle, because I stopped worrying. I felt that they couldn't do anything to me. I felt that must be angels came to help me out or something, because I felt empowered all of a sudden. You know, I felt there was nothing they could do to me. And I got to the border control officer, and he started grilling me with the questions. Where are you going? I'm going to Hujand. Why are you going there? Well, I'm going there on a business trip. Why Hujand? Well, because I work for an energy company. And he said, well, you'll work for this company. What? And he started asking me about my company. He saw everything. He asked me, when did you buy a ticket? I said, well, I bought ticket 36 hours ago. Who bought ticket for you? I said, I don't, I bought it myself. It's just, I answered his questions calmly, and he was trying to find something to, he couldn't. He let me out of the country. I remember this huge, like, it was a mix of emotions. I don't know how to explain in words. Relief doesn't cut it, It was not a relief. It was much more than that. Much more than relief. And all of a sudden I felt tired. Extremely sleepy and tired. I went to sit down, and I nearly fell asleep. Okay? And I got so scared that I missed my flight. I jumped up, and I couldn't understand what time it was. I must have slept for like 5 minutes or so, not much. I just closed my eyes. And, and then I looked at my watch, and I was like, whew. And, I was walking around. I did not sit down because I was so sleepy. I was afraid to fall asleep and miss the flight, And then I went to a bar, and I got myself a bottle of Budweiser, the king of beers. I don't drink beer, but I felt like it was appropriate. And I wanted to drink an American beer. I filmed tons of stuff. I put camera in front of me, and I was telling how I felt, and I was drinking, and I don't know. Anyway, I edited it all out. I got it out, and the only scene I left was the one when I just had a couple sips of beer. And I remember I texted Lorna and Mommy saying, I'm okay, I'm out. And of course I texted my mom. She was all, anxious, and she was freaking out about this mobilization thing. I think she was even much more scared than I was. Natasha was also happy, and I didn't tell anyone, Our flight was delayed by a couple hours, hour and a half, and I also didn't feel easy about that. But then after a while, they announced boarding, and they were mostly Russian young men, up until my age, about up until 45. And they started getting into the groups and talking to each other and discussing things, but I was too busy. I give you glimpses of that time when we were just waiting to be boarded. And then, of course, we were asked to come to the plane and then take off. And I remember I was thinking, wow, this is over and this is begin. This is just the beginning, this is the end and this is beginning. And one thing I did in the plane, I made a community post. He's still up there. I had not told anyone that I was flying to Uzbekistan because I was afraid that if KGB was after me, they would have known. They would learn from the community post like anyone else, and they would not let me on the plane. I was seriously afraid of that, okay? Because one thing, I'm fall under mobilization. Second thing is, what is the best way to get rid of a political commentator who opposes Putin and the government, than just, send them to fight in Ukraine and get rid of him, So I was afraid of that. And then I made a community post right on the plane, right before the takeoff. I figured I'd wait until the last minute before taking off so they wouldn't stop the plane. And we took off, and you know what? I fell asleep. Boom. Like someone turned me off. They actually, my neighbor right next to his seat, person who was sitting right next to mine, he woke me up, and we were above Khujand descending. In Moscow it was cold, about 15, 12 Celsius, something like that. It was rainy. I think it was even little snow. I don't remember. It was cold. We get to Khujand, it's plus 30, desert. And the very end of the movie that I made is actually very important, because if you look, you will see a bunch of Russian men standing in one place, filling out declaration forms, because we were all bringing cash with us. I brought $7,000, a little under. Some people were bringing 10. Some brought everything that we had. Russian cards, Russian banks don't work overseas, so we got cash. And everyone was put in declaration form, declaring that cash. And then something extraordinary in my life happened in that arrival hall. I saw that Russian men, they started introducing themselves to each other. And they started getting into the groups, and they started exchanging telephone numbers. And we were waiting for about 40 minutes before they let us out. But it was different kind of wait. In Russia, hours before, we were waiting, freaking out. We were scared. In Khujand, we were waiting, but it didn't matter, because sooner or later they let us in. This is new life. We're out. We're safe, that kind of wait. And I saw that they started like getting into the groups of 3, 4, 5 people, 6 people in the little circles, and everyone would introduce and say, hey, I do this and this, mostly programmers. And the next question is, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to Thailand, I'm going to Uzbekistan, I'm going to America, I'm going, but we're all going through Uzbekistan. And for the first time I saw that this actually is pretty cool when people get together. And somehow you don't feel alone, okay? You feel among friends, like-minded people. And this is where the idea of Tashkent International Breakfast Club was born, actually. Unconsciously, but I understood that this helps, and this is good. This is good for us, Got out, got into a cab. I would have shared a cab. The people started looking for people to share cabs, okay? Because we're all going to Uzbekistan, to Tashkent, and there's one place to cross the border. And a cab costs, I don't know, $10. So there were 3 people, and they would, break the price of the cab into 3 parts, and this is the first kind of support I saw. So made it to the border. I saw very same people because we were going at the same time. Crossed the border into Uzbekistan. And that was it. I made it to my friends. I was extremely exhausted. I was hungry. Those 3 Red Bulls, not Red Bulls, but energy drinks. I don't ever drink energy drinks. But only when I drive at night, but that's it. And I had 3 of them. I was having withdrawal symptoms. I was extremely tired. And I made a community post and I made a stream. It was the biggest stream I've ever had. 26,000 people, I think. Basically told what's happened to me. And that was the beginning of my new life. I called my job. Well, while I was in Moscow, I called my supervisor, and superior, and I told him, the shareholder of the company, the owner of the company, and I told him, hey, I'm getting out. He said, he's Ukrainian, so he said, you know what, good choice, I'll support you in how I can get out, and then we'll talk about job later. We talked about job once I arrived to Uzbekistan, and I ended up having no job. Not because I was fired or anything, but because our business in Russia is imploding. Russian industry that we work in is imploding. And so that was it. Right now I'm working pro bono for this company. Not pro bono, but I'm not getting paid, but I do very little, and I do just the market research and contacts, trying to break the company into this market. If something happens, good. Nothing happens, nothing happens. So, for the first few days, it was really hard. It's still hard. I mean, it's not like it's gotten way that much better, but I don't even know what to tell you. Hard to describe with words. When you just sit there and you don't know what to do next, and you just, go like this, what the fudge? What's next? What do I do for income? What do I do with my life? Where do I live? I gotta rent an apartment. Where? In what country? In what city? What do I do here? And then you lost. You feel lost. And I prayed a lot, and I was trying to unwind from all bad thoughts and feelings. I tried not to think much, okay? So I just walked around Tashkent. Beautiful. In late September, best time in Tashkent. It's not too hot, but it's warm. It's just perfect, I saw tons of Russians, just like me. Tons of Russians walking. Went through a bank, I saw 40 people, a crowd of 40 people. I stopped at the bank, and they were just talking to each other. How do I open bank account? And line at the bank was incredible. I had been to Uzbekistan 6 months before that. In April, I went to the bank, opened the bank account. I was the only customer. I opened a bank account in 20 minutes. When I returned in September, the wait was a few hours. There were so many Russians. Just to give you an understanding what kind of amount of Russians are here in Uzbekistan. And everyone was trying. First thing you do is you try to find a place to live. Okay. Second thing you do, you try to settle your money. Open bank account, because without bank account, it's really hard. And that's what they do. They look for apartments, and they open bank accounts. They get social security number. You cannot open bank account without that. And then they kind of exhale. Well, I stopped and introduced myself, and I said, you guys Russians? So just, yeah, of course we're Russians. Backpacks, very colorful clothing. The locals wear everything black and white. Russians, all kinds of color. Shorts, The locals never wear shorts. Backpacks, locals never wear backpacks. Never have backpacks, things like that. So it's really easy to spot Russian back then. Now Russians changed. It's really hard to spot them from locals because they act like locals. It's funny, but not back then. I was walking around and I was just amazed. And I was walking by a coffee shop and I saw tons of programmers sitting there. And I sat to have a coffee, and this is where I had this idea. I said, I remember that place in the airport in Hujan, and I figured, you know what, it'd be great if I could share coffee with someone. And I started introducing myself. I started asking people in Telegram channels to come over and share coffee. And this is how Tashkent International Breakfast Club was born. I feel it's one of the most important things I've done in my life. Speaking fast forward to 8 months later, back then I felt that my life was over. I never thought of suicide because, I'm a Christian and it's a sin. And moreover, I have kids, I have wife, mom, and they all rely on me. I must be strong, and no matter what, I must be there for them. So that's not a question. It was never a question. But I heard that a few people committed suicide. That's a very sad news. Not anyone I knew personally, but there have been rumors. And like we say in Russia, there's never smoke without fire. You sit there and you feel like this is it. Your life has been nullified, cancelled, and your life is white piece of paper, and you have to start from scratch. And you are freaking 46. Whoa, remember those days. Anyway, meeting people and sitting with them at the table helped. Because if you know at least one person in front of you in the same situation, you're not alone, and it makes you feel better. You hear a person's story, you tell him your story, and this is just so therapeutic. When there are more people, when there are 10 people, and you're in a group of people, and you understand, hey, I am not the only one. I'm not the freak. I'm not, there are people. We're gonna survive. We're gonna do something. And then you immediately start having the urge to help folks in the same situation, and they help you. You should have seen, like, people were coming in into breakfasts, and the first thing we would ask, like, what's your name? When did you come? What do you do? How can you help others here? Attorneys, oh boy. Questions, those so many questions were answered by attorneys behind those breakfast club tables at coffees. Not one single cent was charged, okay? A couple attorneys were helping, like, case to do something about the cases in Russia. Financial advisors, accountants. The thing is, they didn't come here to professionally work. They were in the same shoes as us, all escapees, all in exile. And it's just so fulfilling when you can help someone in need and then you get some help. It's incredible. Anyway, fast forward 8 months later. I don't feel like that what happened to me 8 months ago was the end of my life. No. The Bible says, knock on doors and the door will be open for you. Many doors got shut down behind me, but I keep on knocking, and honestly, I don't even keep on knocking. The ones who closed behind me, the new ones opened. I have been feeling so much love from God. And again, this is very personal. I've felt like He showed me miracles every single day, and He keeps on showing. I lost my income. and I'm an executive. I've always all my life I've been an executive in business chief development officer, uh, CDBR, chief business development officer. And I was making decent money, enough to feed my family, enough to buy something, and I lost it just like that. And guess what? I'm making even more now from YouTube, because more and more people watch my videos. Um, I just kept on doing what I was doing. That's it. I've met so many interesting, intellectually pleasing people. My circle of friends has increased tremendously. Okay. I've met so many interesting, fantastically interesting people with interesting professions, with interesting life stories, with interesting um, outlook for life. I met and got involved with non-commercial organizations, completely different, completely new area of life for me. I had never done anything like that before. I had always worked for myself to provide for me and my family, but right now, not too long ago, I understood that there is different kind of work. You can help others, and not just around you, but all over the world. Okay, by changing policies, by implementing things, by shifting focus to some things. It's very fulfilling, folks. Okay, and the thing is, doors keep opening in front of me, because I usually don't reach anyone out. They reach me and they invite me. They ask me to join, and I learn. I say, "Well, this is great." Okay, there are new opportunities, career opportunities on the horizon. Um, there's new life, and what I'm living right now is actually, I'm happier than I was before, despite the fact that there's quite a few things in Russia that I will not be able to recover. Couple properties, heck with them. They can have them. I don't care. Um, we worked hard for them, but things happen. Bunch of gangsters came, and they simply stole my property. Okay, in real life, is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. Well, this is what happened. Just gangsters are not bunch of people, but the government. That's it. Uh, what else? Folks, why don't I, it's been a very long talk. Why don't I turn on the messages and go ahead and ask me anything? I'll be glad to tell you of my experiences, my experience or experiences of moving out of Russia, leaving, just anything, you know. Thank you so much. I will going to turn on the live stream chat right now. There you go. Drinking English breakfast, extra strong. Very good, very, so much flavor in this tea. Come on, chat. Well, looks like my internet is kayuk again. It happens recently, it happens a lot. I've heard that Uzbekistan started testing this new system, how to prevent VPN services, but I'm not sure whether it's true or not. But так, I wonder if you can hear and see me. Hang on 1 second, I'll try to figure out what happened. Looks like it's back on. I'm seeing comments now. Quite a few of them. Folks, thank you so much, by the way. Did I say thank you? Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for giving me a chance. Thank you. There you go. Open chat in a new window. I usually do that. And there. Lorna, Mommy, Prince Amir, Bob S, Harry, Blackhead, have fantastic to see you. Go to bed, Kay. No, I'm okay. I can do another few minutes. Thank you, Jeffrey. Sweden, my friends, the usual suspects. Thank you so much for coming. Geography, as usual, the entire... You are chatting, but I see myself frozen. Okay. Linda, thank you so much. Jason Carney, thank you, my friend, for coming back and supporting a lot. A huge. I don't know what to say. Your support is so big. Thank you. No message, but your message is heard. Trust me. Thank you so much. 2 minutes to midnight. Money for the incredibly brave and strong Natasha. Good point. Thank you. 2 minutes to midnight. Thank you so much. You know what, Natasha? Without Natasha, I am not even half of a man. I am. She's been incredibly wise, incredibly brave, tough, loving, supporting. I am so lucky to have Natasha, in my life, and mother of my child, and this second half, you know what, frankly, I don't know what I would have been doing without her. I must have done something good that God sent me such a gift as her, Jason, thank you so much for gifting 5 people with sponsorship. Thank you again. Thank you, my friend. RW, fantastic to see you. Thank you for coming back and supporting again. In the early days of the US, Thomas Paine said, "There are the times that try men's souls. I think you have been tried and not found lacking." But time will tell. I don't know. So glad it made through the gauntlet. Thank you. White Lightning, thank you so much. At my new security job in a hospital in Baltimore, Russian is second most common language, just behind Spanish. Lots of Russian and Ukrainian refugees. In Baltimore, huh? Well, you know what? I'm glad that those refugees, they get to start new life. And the United States is a fantastic country, for a new start. Probably the best one. Eileen, thank you. You know what? What was the psalm Rafaela sent? Let me tell you. I will try right now. Hang on. If you give me, you'd have to give me a second. Well, 30 seconds. I hope I'll find fast. I remember I was reading it and it was the answer to my question. I was asking question. I was asking God this question, like, what should I do? Boom, the answer. It was, if it's not a miracle, what is? What is? Found it. There you go. It was not a verse. It was not a verse. It was, well, anyway, I'm reading her email right now. Hi, Konstantin and Natasha. It's Rafaela from Germany. Many people are praying for you. What a blessing. I just became that thought to write you that believers, like a few mistakes here and there because she speaks German, obviously, that believers for the first time and decisions you have in front of you. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your way submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. Love, Rafaela. You're in my heart. I was reading on my kitchen, behind the kitchen table, and I was, Natasha was telling me this, like, you gotta go, you gotta do this, you gotta make the decision. Like, come on, what are we waiting for? And I was asking God, I was, inside silently, like, what should I do? Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all the ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. And I literally opened my mouth, and I was sitting there, and I said, Natasha, just look at this. And that's it. And you know what? That was the answer. I started looking for the tickets. I thought I need the bolt of lightning right then, I made the decision. I understood it was time to go. I understood that I had to trust in the Lord with all my heart, and lean not onto what I think, what I plan on. Just trust him, and he'll make my path straight. And he has. He has delivered. He has delivered in so many more ways than I could have expected, Thank you, Eileen. Thank you so much. Mac Fun, thank you. Left Poland with my parents in 1981 before Jaruzelski imposed martial law. I was 9 years old. Now I am in Switzerland for over 40 years. Good for you, my friend. Good for you. We're kind of in the same shoes. Not the same size, different, but same style, so to speak. So good for you, brother. It's easier to support via Patreon, but we can do it here as well. Thank you so much, the underdog. Both ways are good. This just YouTube takes a bigger share, bigger cut. I think it takes 30%. Patreon takes 7%. Buy Me a Coffee takes 5%. KG Stulzman, thank you so much. No message, but message is heard. It's pretty powerful. Thank you. Lord of Grape, thank you so much. No message, but Heard. Thank you. Jason Carney, thank you for another second super chat. 149. Every single dollar counts. Hey, Black Cat, thank you so much. Love you too. All right, so let's. Everything is 10 by 10. Airborne Snail, thank you. Sam K, thank you so much. I am well. You know, one thing though, I can't say that I am completely settled, completely perfectly well, completely undisturbed, and everything is fine. My life has changed completely. No, still hurts. Still hurts like, I don't know, like, what do you say? Like, a lot. Russia is still at war with Ukraine. Russians still killing Ukrainians. We are still at the not at the destination. Uzbekistan is a fantastic place. Great, but this is not home. This is a transit. We still don't have home, okay? A lot of things are unsettled. But I see that what I have already is so much more than I had before in terms of fulfillment, in terms of mission, in terms of my purpose. I see that there's a path for me, and I just have to get up every morning and take steps, step by step. And there's no way I'm gonna quit. There's no way. But it doesn't mean that there are not days when I feel like crap. Okay? It's still like a roller coaster. Sometimes you feel up, sometimes you just out of the blue, nothing happens, nothing bad happens, but then boom. And sometimes days come, you just can't get out of your bed. No energy. Doesn't happen as often, but it does happen. It's incredible efforts to keep on going. But you definitely can keep on counting on that. I will definitely keep on going. Thank you, friends. KG1, did your family exodus to join you have any problems, or did your family's exodus to join you have any problems or incidents? I'll answer a question just in a second. MacFun, my worst day when we fled to Switzerland was the first day of school. New place, people, when I didn't understand the language. I still remember that. Michael is going to experience that. And he's still gonna remember his first day in school. But that's okay. It didn't kill you. You speak Polish and you speak other languages too now. And you speak them perfectly well, my friend. What doesn't kill us sometimes makes us stronger. Sometimes not. But I don't know what to say. Ecoplasma, thank you so much. Huge support. Time for some new sacks of potatoes. Thank you. Ask Natasha to fry you some delicious puffer. Eat them with a little bit salt, fried eggs, or applesauce. everything German, that's to Natasha. She will know. She's German, as you know, German ancestry. So Kartoffel, puffer, whatever, sauerkraut, schnitzel, Vienna cake. I forgot the famous one. That's to her. Thank you so much. That 50 euro will buy lots of potatoes, lots of sex. Thank you. MacFun, I'm Swiss, but my soul is still Polish. We have relatives in Poland, Ukraine, Belarus, Russia. Cannot understand what is happening. My friend, that makes two of us. This is madness. I don't understand what's happening. Fucking Russians killing Russians and Ukrainians, and this is madness, temporary madness. Okay, I don't believe it's gonna last for a long time, but I just hope and pray it will not last for a long time. But it's been going on. I don't know. KG1, you asked if there were any accidents along the way. Not really. You know what? I have been feeling this way. On that day, actually, it started happening before. When the war with Ukraine started, when this crazy Putin decided to attack Ukraine, 24th of February, I felt like I was falling into abyss. Okay, everything started falling apart, and the worst things got around me, and the worst thing got within me, because I was, I don't know, call me crazy, but I really feel pain when shit happens. More I've felt God's love. And it started, the culmination was when, of course, I was leaving, okay? Imagine this. You broken, you're devastated. You just sit there on the beach and you don't know what to do. And all of a sudden, God and his angels, they come and they pick you up on their hands and they carry you where you need to go if you can't walk yourself. And they take care of everything. And this is how I have been feeling. Okay, not one major single accident, but things happen to Russians left and right. Don't think that Russians who have left Russia, they're left alone. No. They're hit with extra taxes. KGB comes and asks people, their families, of whereabouts of the ones who left. Bad things happen to them left and right. Nothing like that happened to us, and this is God's work. Okay, I just don't know how else to explain it. I'm sorry. So that's answering your question. Nothing happened. I feel protected. I feel like someone is carrying me on his strong hands. Okay, like Father. Lorraine Prasnowski, thank you so much. Small token of appreciation. Well, appreciation is huge. Lorraine, I'm so happy to have you. You've been sponsor for as long as I can remember. I don't know how many months. So thank you. You're always there in the chats. Even before war. Jay Spike, about how hard it can be in your situation. There's a saying in the Catholic Church, poco a poco. It's Latin for little by little. Keep it up, friend. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Spike. Thank you so much. RW, thank you so much, friend. Also champion of this channel. Thank you. Gloria from Ireland, howdy. Pacific Beach, Charlie B. Great stream today, says Doug. Thank you, Doug. Sophie, Ferrari guy, thank you so much. Chirper, I can see and hear you too. Helen, do you still have family back in Russia? Tons. I have tons of family, extended family. I came to Uzbekistan, and my first thought was, where do I live? Well, I stayed at my friend's, and basically I can stay for as long as I want to. He has a large apartment, but I wanted a place on my own, and I wanted a big place for one simple reason. I figured that I would be followed by many members of my family, friends. And I was looking for a huge place, and I found it. This place is huge. I mean, I've showed you before, 170 square meters. That's the biggest apartment I've ever had. I notified all members of my family immediately. I said, look, come to Uzbekistan. If you can't afford it, just let me know. I will buy you a ticket. I will meet you at the airport. I'll bring you to my apartment. I'll find you a place here, a corner, so to speak, a bedroom, and I'll feed you. You live here as long as you want to get on your knees, just all my extended family members know that. All my friends know that. Colleagues, even colleagues. And guess what? I am living here alone. Well, except for my family, the girls, Michael and Natasha. No one else. Mom comes, she comes and goes, but then for certain reasons that not up to her, if you know what I mean. Extended family, friends, colleagues, staying in Russia. Their choice. I talked to them a few times and I've given up. I just let them know that, hey, if you want to come here and if you still can at that point, there's a place for you to stay. I'll go out of my way. I'll find you. I'll set you up here, just let me know. So, answering your question. Bakerstock, thank you so much. Hope the best for you. I appreciate your support and the words are priceless. Thank you. MacFun. I like Twinings too, but I prefer Darjeeling, Lapsang, Souchong or Lady Grey more than breakfast or Earl Grey. Drinking tea is also a tradition in Poland. I know. I have friends from Poland, from Warsaw. We used to work together. I used to manage hotel and I used to hire Polish kids to help me out, chambermaids, maintenance. Back in like 23 years ago, 20 years ago, in Old Orchard Beach, Maine, there was a work and travel program, tons of Polish kids. We used to party together. We used to get along absolutely great. They invited me to their compound. There's tons of them, like a few hundred kids from Belarus, Russia, Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, would just get together, hundreds. And I would just go and everyone got along great. There was absolutely no conflicts there. No one had any division. Oh, you Polish or you Russian or you Belarusian. There were Ukrainians as well. With Russians and Ukrainians were always. I lived in Ukraine for a year. I never felt like I was in a foreign country. So I had friends. I still keep in touch with a couple people. And I tell you that Polish and Russians have similar traditions. Well, first of all, we drank about the same. The kids, they all had Zubrovka, the real stuff with the grass. And they were telling me how other Zubrovka is not real. Only Polish is real with some grass in it, And then the Belarusians, they were saying, hey, we also have Zubrovka. No, yours is not Zubrovka. And so we drank a lot. We grilled meat. Polish girls were absolutely stunning. That was a good time. Anyway, thanks for letting me know. MacFun, it's good to hear what you say. It helps me understand Russia and the Russians. Many thanks. You know, I hope that what is happening to Russia and Russians right now is temporary madness that can be either cured or just will pass. I can't explain, really, what is happening to them. York Asmussen, thank you so much from Denmark. Thank you. No message, but this message is pretty darn strong. Thank you. Prince Amir, thanks for the sponsorship. Thank you. Oh, there was a message about someone leaving Russia. Hang on. I missed it. SGT Bass Gaming, thank you so much. Thank you for your support and the message. Time is up. Okay. I missed the message. Gosh. There was someone who left Russia saying on the 24th of February, and my chat jumped and I lost it. Can you repost your message, please? There was something like, oh, we left Russia on the 24th of February. I missed super chat from Amir. Prince Amir, what you have been through is excellent. Excel doing is amazing. You have tremendous integrity, drive, and you have God on your side. I applaud you for candor. Thank you so much, Amir. Thank you. You know, I can't really tell you that what I've done was incredibly courageous or incredibly, big. No. I did, like, every morning I wake up and I do what I gotta do. That's pretty much it. I take actions, I take steps, I speak to people, I do things. But when I look back and I go, sometimes I get amazed myself. I go, wow, that's been it's like when you open a business. Some of you entrepreneurs, you must know, when you open a business and you think, whoa, this is going to be great. And then you start working every single day and you start having problems and you overcome them. You come up with solutions day by day by day. And then 2 years later, you look back and you go, wow, look at the journey I've been through. And you say, if I knew how many problems I would face in the following 2 years, I wouldn't have started the business. But then you come out on top, I've concluded that you didn't leave Russia. Russia left you and became alien. That's, you know what, that's a good point. I feel like Russia chewed me up and spat me out. But I'm very glad that it spat me out, because I could have come out into a different exit, if you know what I mean. Zahir. Tort, cake. Stefana, thank you so much. That's Natasha's most favorite cake in the world. Comes from Vienna. So there was a message. I'm still looking for the message. Someone left on the 24th. Diana Smith, thank you so much. Thank you for the wonderful words. Ferrari guy, Russia needs a new political philosophy and not rooted deeply in its old ways. Russians need to change something inside them, and this is the answer I'm looking. What needs to be changed? Because everything else is just pretty facade, but you gotta look at the foundation. The foundation must be fixed. And that's gonna be a long, long journey for the Russian people, you know. Lorna, I know I'm looking for this last question or comment that someone left Russia on the 24th. I lost it. It was like way up. Can someone repost it for me, please? Philip Blair, fella tea drinker, say hello to your dad. That's makes two of us. I also do drink iced tea, but mostly hot tea. Amir, thank you. Bastille Day tomorrow in France. Linda Moses, I'm telling you, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I don't know what to tell you. They've gone crazy, these people. Mr. Genta, people in Russia will need you back soon. Well, I think that people of Russia will have to do without me. They've had their own chance. Check it out. 7. What mixed drinks do you partake in? I don't drink anything except for water and tea. I used to drink Coke, Diet Coke, but, you know, not anymore. DNDH. Did people who stole your property know who you were and did it because of that? Well, they did not steal my property. They, at least not yet. They haven't stolen. The thing is, I can't do much about my property anymore. I cannot rent it out. I cannot sell it. So it's basically, if I wanted to come back, I can live there. If someone wants to come and live there for free, they can live there. You know, my family, my relatives, whatever. It still belongs to me, but there's not much I can do. That's what I mean. They, you know, basically stripped me of my rights. But it's still there. It's still out there. For how long? We will see. Have you tried kombucha? Once. I didn't like it. I'm sorry if I disappoint you, but I didn't like it. I like English breakfast much better. Darjeeling much better. Just any good tea. Your yellow light isn't working, Constantine. It's run out of juice. No, my yellow light is... Something breaks all the time here. It's Uzbekistan, you know. Thank you. Well, friends, I think that it's time to go and finish up and pray. I just saw a super chat from Pinda the Peanut. Can you remember the victims of MH17 on the 17th of July in your prayer? It is now 9 years ago. You know what? I remember that day very well. I was sitting at my mom's and dad's at their house, and they have fantastic, like, patio out back. It's a townhouse with a just most beautiful patio, you know, We used to make shish, grilled meat. Me and my dad, we loved that together. And we were grilling meat, and I just came over and we were hanging out back. And somehow I looked up. Oh, not somehow. We were talking about what was happening in Ukraine, and you see all Russian planes, and everyone, like all the planes, they started like going around Donetsk area, okay? And if you look at the map, they were flying right above Rostov. All of a sudden, there was a highway in the sky of planes, because those planes would go through Ukraine to Europe, and now they would go straight north from all over the world, and then they would just like turn around Ukraine. And no, not just above Rostov, but like in Donetsk, like in this area, if you know what I mean. And we were looking at one of the planes, and 30 minutes later, because we were checking this Flight Radar 24, this app we had on, my dad had on, this iPad, and it disappeared. And I'm like, well, this is a glitch. Something's wrong. I got home, and the plane got shut down. They released the conversations that kind of like showed it was Russians first, and then of course they deleted them all and they started blaming others and stuff like that. So, go figure. I remember that day very, very well. I'm very sorry about the people, and the guy who actually shot down the plane, Igor Strelkov, Girkin, it's been proven, he's been convicted of this crime, and he's hiding in Russia, but sooner or later they will get him. I hope sooner. I will do that. Thank you so much, MacFun. I was really disappointed and surprised to hear that one of my favorite Russian sci-fi authors supports the invasion of Ukraine. I know who that is. That's also my favorite sci-fi author. And you know what? I was also disappointed. Russia has just such a great culture and many really good artists. How can it go on? I don't know. I know who you're talking about. Черновик, Чистовик, Ночной дозор. Thanks for your support, friend. My friends, let's finish up today. Please join me in prayer. Let's pray and wish all the people good. And if you're a believer, join me. If you're not a believer, join me anyway. Call it in different way. Call it sending good vibes, good karma, good wishes, but it's the same company. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so much for what you've given us. Thank you for putting food on our tables and giving roofs over our heads. Thank you for surrounding us with people who we love and who love us. Please give us wisdom to keep the skies above our children's heads peaceful. Please give us wisdom to raise our children in a way that when they grow adults, they make this world a better place, so we'll never fight in wars with each other, participate in any wars. For now, please keep our children safe and healthy. Dear Lord, please stop the bloodshed in Ukraine. The country and its people have suffered so much. Please stop it as soon as possible. You have all the powers. You know who to talk to, whose hearts to touch to have this thing stop. Please reach out and touch the people, their hearts and souls, so they make this decision to stop the bloodshed. Please help every single Ukrainian who has been affected by this terrible tragedy. Answer prayers and make all wishes come true. Please help my country, Russia, Assemble the army of your strongest angels with sharpest swords, led by Saint Michael in shining armor, and send them to earth, so they come down like heavenly avalanche, and will get rid of all the demons that have hijacked my country. Please have angels run Russia, make it loved, loving, peaceful, respectful, and respected. Dear Lord, please send safe travels to all people who are traveling. Send help to those. Holy moly, earthquake. A big one too. I don't know if you see, but anyway, send please. Whew. Send send help to families that are seeking for asylum. Please help those who are struggling, single mothers who are struggling and trying to make ends meet. Please rest in peace the souls of people, innocent people, who were flying on an airplane through the territory of Ukraine and were shot down 9 years ago on this day. Please help their families to go through terrible tragedies, soothe their souls, please, and have people who died have their souls rest in peace. Please help those who are sick, depressed, jobless, homeless, not feeling well about themselves, have low self-esteems, addicted, and just with different troubles. Please help them. Shine your heavenly light upon those people and have them surrounded in your warmth and love, so they feel better about themselves, they feel better about their lives. They will get up from their knees, they will stand tall, and they will be happy again. Please help all the Ukrainians who are suffering from Russian strikes right now. Send them help, and help those who are helping Ukrainians. God bless them. Thank you so much for us getting into this community. Thank you so much for letting us come together and pray every single day. Please help everyone who is praying right now or simply watching us pray. Thank you so much, dear Lord. I'd like also to mention all people who are suffering from earthquakes. Like, we had a big one, but things seem okay. But please help those who are being affected by the earthquakes right now. I would like to mention names of people who need your help. Good people, please help them. They are Wayne, Shirley, Debbie, Jen Ellen, Finola, Lars Henriks and Lars Henrik and Lars Henrik's mother, the Highwaymen, Essie from the Scottish Isles, Outlander and family, Choriz and family, David Porter and his family, Lars, Susan Marshall, Beulah, Lazarus, Boss Simon, Alvin's sister, Joe and Lee McMahon, Teresa D., Terry Carter, Meta Spencer, Deanna and her family, Bree's friend, Caroline, Albina Fell, Michael Yukon, Joel Life, Karine Vasseur, Pamela J., Daniel 9, Lindsay, Larry, Brittany S., Yelena, Natasha, Jake, Michael, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Bonnie, Svetlana, Karen from Maine, Janice, Michael Milkevitz, Marlene, Paul Binns, Richard, Mallory M., Dirk Misler, Linda, Terry, and Angela Cat Life, Scan Family's grandson, Randolph, Barb, Nelly, Arkady, and Yuri, Harry's family, Verlinda's niece, Doug, Rafaela Fromm from Germany, Priscilla, Michelin, King Nero, Gaby Hyman, Deborah, Donald, Jade Kaltenberg, Lisa's son, Allison, Dave Moyers, Terry Scrugg, Maureen M. and her sister, Mr. Hanson, Heidi, Matt, Ashley and family, Mr. Dean Spooner, his church called Our Savior Lutheran Church, Lisa Kumrian, Jacob, Adam Oliver, Amy, Grace Philosophy. Please send her recovery, shine your heavenly light upon her and her wonderful family and wonderful grandchildren, please. Vladislav, Sergey, Susie Mailer, Gina, Wayfarer, MS paramedic Liz, Lori Miles' husband, Philip's mother, Layla, Sherry, Frank in Texas, Julie W., Nina, Janine, Margaret, Linda, Sarah Stokes, James Gentz, China Bill, Yorkie Mom, Hannah, Julie, Paul, Vasilin Lubomirov, Heather, Gloria Roberts and her brother. Please help them, send recovery, and soothe them, please. Greg, Jim and Shirley Hall, Delaney and her two children, Ann Larson, her family and daughter Hannah, Florentina, Max family, Sherry Morin, CKOC, Brian Wilkes, Liz Dumbrell and her family, Ripted, daughter of Aspen English, Ruth, Paul, Susan, Alona and her boys, Bib, Darla, Rudy Kaisley, Paula McDonald, White Lightning, George Ruberty, Dave Strains, Pam. Also would like to mention a few special children. They need recovery. They are Cadence, Maverick, Sebastian, Maddie, Theo, Eva, Ansley, and niece of Corinne Vasseur. Please send recovery, send strength to their families. Help all children from Ukraine and Russia who have been affected by this terrible tragedy. And please help all children who are not feeling well, send them recovery and help their families too. Thank you so much, dear Lord. Jesus Christ, amen. My friends, thank you so much for coming. I missed you. I couldn't stream yesterday due to some personal reasons. Please come back tomorrow. There will be a news update. Crazy news from inside Russia, Friday edition. Should be fun. And this is the first time that there was an earthquake right in the middle of a prayer. It was a big one. So everything started shaking. My key lights here, left and right, started going like this. So we'll check it out. I'll update you on that later. Usually the earthquakes happen a few hundred miles from here in the mountains, high mountains. They're like, 15,000 feet and higher. In Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, those are the big bad boys, and then they just travel, the aftershocks travel to Uzbekistan. So thank you so much again. I'm signing off, but before I do, I say the usual, and you know what, and I would like you to say it along with me, and it is Carthago delenda est.